The line my mother said at the door, before my suitcase was off the porch step, before she had asked about my flight, was, "You're the oldest. Dawn has 4 kids. We leave in 3 hours." She didn't ask, she assigned me. She said it at 12:14 p.m. on December 22nd, 2024, standing in the doorway of her Scottsdale house in a turquoise blouse I had never seen before, rolling luggage already parked in the hallway behind her. She had not said hello. She had said it the way you announce the weather. I had a carry-on in one hand and a $34 rideshare receipt in the other, still on my phone screen from the car that had picked me up at Sky Harbor after a 4-hour flight from LaGuardia. I had been awake since 4:17 a.m. I had billed 3 hours of client work in the terminal before boarding. I was wearing the same suit jacket I wear in depositions. I looked at her face, at the earrings swinging when she tilted her head, at the rolling luggage, at the eyelashes she had curled for someone else's vacation. And I felt, for the first time in 6 years of wiring money and co-signing loans and building other people's lives with the paycheck from mine, something very close to done. I said, "Mom, you should open your vacation app before you finish packing." She blinked. I stepped through the door. This is the story of what had already happened before my mother said hello. The 90 days I had spent building something no FaceTime call and no crying voicemail could dismantle. And the moment my mother understood that the daughter she had always called the oldest had finally decided to act like it. My name is Claire Osgood. I am 32 years old. I was born in November of 1991 in Scottsdale, Arizona. I live alone in a 1-bedroom apartment in Murray Hill in Manhattan. I worked in Manhattan. I made good money. And for 6 years, most of it went back home. I have a sister named Dawn Osgood Marsh. She is 37. She has 4 children, Tyler, 10, Mason, 8, Ellie, 5, and Luca, 2. Dawn's husband Brendan has not worked since a lower back event in January of 2021, documented with 1 doctor's visit and a self-reported disability claim under review for 3 years. My mother is Patricia Osgood. She is 59. She retired early in 2020, collects Social Security, and lives in a 3-bedroom house in Scottsdale she purchased in 2019 with my co-signature on the mortgage. My father is Gary Osgood. He is 63. He collects disability for a back injury since 2017. He also coaches youth baseball 4 times a week and has taken 3 Las Vegas trips since 2020. Both things are true. Before we go further, if this story moves you, subscribe. Hit that like button. It costs you nothing, means everything to us. Now let me tell you what had been building for 6 years before my mother opened that door. I want to walk you through the math, because the math is the story underneath the story. 2019, the roof. My first full year as an associate. March phone call, my mother crying. The house needs a new roof. Just a loan, sweetheart. There was no settlement coming. I wired $22,000. The money was never repaid. I reclassified it on my spreadsheet the year I turned 30 from loan to education fee. 2020, the cosign. My mother's credit was too damaged for the mortgage application. Just cosign. You're barely using your credit anyway. We'll refinance into your father's name in 2 years. I co-signed a $329,000 mortgage on a house I do not live in a city I moved away from at 22. 2 years became 4. They did not refinance. 2022, the van. Dawn needed a vehicle. I wired $14,000 for the down payment. The monthly payments, $840 per month, began coming out of my checking account 6 months later when Dawn stopped making them. I did not notice for 4 months because I had the account on autopay and I was billing 60 hours a week and I trusted my family. 2023 through 2024, the bleed. The mortgage began missing payments. Just 2 months, Claire, until the appeal. 2 months became 20 on top of the van payment. On top of a $400 month utility, autopay my mother had set up on my card in September of 2023. Just to make sure the lights stay on for the kids when they visit. It wasn't help anymore, it was a system. From January 2019 through December 2024. The roof, the mortgage cosign and gap payments, the van down payment and ongoing payments, utilities, groceries, and emergency wires, $204,600. $200 and $4,600 over 6 years, to a household where I do not live. For a family that has never, in 6 years of phone calls, asked how I was sleeping. That number lives on a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has 14 tabs. The sticky note on my laptop that labels it says one word: education. I want to tell you about my mother's face at my bar admissions ceremony in 2014. The way she had pressed her hand against her mouth when they called my name. The way she had said to my father in the parking lot, thinking I was out of earshot, "Gary. We did something right." I kept that sentence in a corner of myself for 10 years like a warm coal. It took me a very long time to understand that what she had meant and what she had built were two entirely different things. December 3rd, 2024. Tuesday, 11:14 p.m. I was in my firm's conference room closing a real estate contract. My phone lit up. Mom, FaceTime. I answered with my headphones in. On their end, the camera was propped on Dawn's kitchen counter. Mason, age 8, was pressing his face into the sliding glass door, hands red, leaving a fog streak. Ellie, age 5, was in the backyard without a coat in 48-degree Arizona night air. The pool gate, the one I had specifically requested Dawn latch in June when Luca started walking, the one she had said, "I'll get to it," 4 separate times, was open. And suddenly, nothing else mattered. Luca, 2 years old, was 18 inches from the pool edge in a diaper that was sagging. Dawn was on the back porch with a glass of wine, scrolling her phone. She did not look up. I said, "Dawn, the pool gate." She said without lifting her eyes, "He's fine, Claire." They're building character. Mason pressed harder against the glass. His breath fogged it white. He began to cry. I said, "Dawn, can you let him in?" She said, "Can you send me $400 for Christmas outfits? The Carter's sale ends Thursday." I ended the call. I sat in the conference room with my hands flat on the table for 4 minutes. A contract open on one screen, the image of a 2-year-old 18 inches from a pool on a cold night on the other. I pulled up the Arizona Department of Child Safety hotline at 11:22 p.m. I filed the report at 11:41 p.m. I attached 6 items: the pool gate incident from December 3rd, a FaceTime screenshot from October showing Luca near an unlocked cabinet of cleaning supplies, a pediatric visit summary from August that flagged Mason's weight as below the 3rd percentile for his age, 3 texts from Dawn bragging about free babysitting this weekend, going out. I provided exact dates. I provided dollar amounts showing the pattern of financial neglect, money sent monthly that was not reaching the children's documented needs. I submitted it in the precise clinical language of someone who has spent 10 years writing legal briefs. Then I told the DCS intake coordinator one more thing. Both primary caregivers and all 4 children would be at the same Scottsdale address on December 22nd between noon and 3 p.m. because the biological grandmother had sent a round-trip ticket to her eldest daughter for the holidays. The coordinator said they would schedule a home visit. They asked if I was the child's regular caregiver. I said, "I am the person who finances the household. I am not the caregiver." They said, "We understand. We'll be in touch." I went back to the contract. I billed the next 4 hours. I sent opposing counsel a redlined version at 3:17 a.m. I want to walk you through the 19 days between December 3rd and December 22nd, because each one was a door I had been building quietly for months. December 5th. I closed Hadley Reyes' office door at my firm. I said, "I need off a mortgage. The primary borrowers have missed payments. They will not refinance. I have 14 tabs of documentation." She filed the cosigner release petition in Maricopa County Superior Court on December 9th. The lender was served December 12th. The hearing was set for January 14th. December 10th. I called the van financing company. The account was 91 days past due. My credit had already taken a 14-point hit. I said 2 things. When does the account go to repossession review? December 31st. And do not call my number. Call the primary borrower. I did not make a payment. December 14th. I logged into the 3 utility accounts my mother had placed in my name: APS Power, Southwest Gas, Cox Internet, and scheduled the autopay to cancel effective December 27th. The accounts would remain active through Christmas. The children would have heat and internet through December 26th, but on the 27th, every automatic payment would stop. Combined $400 per month. Gone unless someone put their own card number in. December 16th. My mother had accidentally sent me the Breckenridge Ski Lodge confirmation code in October. She meant to send it to Dawn. I had read it, saved it, said nothing. I logged in with the card credentials. I canceled the reservation. Full refund, $4,200. I canceled 4 lift tickets. I canceled the Summit Ridge Spa booking, $1,840, charged to the same card on November 22nd, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, while I had been in my office on a brief deadline, not eating dinner. I logged out. On the same afternoon, I called Mrs. Fortino, my mother's neighbor of 14 years, a retired schoolteacher. I explained enough of the situation. I asked if she could come by on December 22nd at 3 p.m. to stay with the kids. She said, "Honey, I always liked you better. I'll be there at 3. December 18th. I removed my name from the joint family emergency account. The account was moved to single holder in my mother's name, with a 0 balance. December 19th. I submitted an 18-page documented report to the Arizona Department of Housing Potential Benefit Fraud. Regular financial contributions from an undisclosed household contributor that had not appeared in either family's income disclosure filings. 7 bank statements, every transfer, every date. The housing office acknowledged receipt on December 20th. December 22nd, 2024. 12:14 p.m. I arrived at the front porch. My mother opened the door in a turquoise blouse. She said, "You're the oldest. Dawn has 4 kids. We leave in 3 hours." I said, "Mom, open your vacation app before you finish packing. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe, hit that like button. Costs you nothing." Now let me tell you what happened at 12:14 p.m. on December 22nd. The house smelled like cinnamon spray and last night's takeout containers, the way it always smelled when my mother was performing the holiday rather than living it. Dawn was in the hallway behind her, Tyler in a ski jacket, Mason with a suitcase sticker of a cartoon bear, Ellie spinning in her puffy coat, Luca on Dawn's hip chewing a cracker. Dawn said, "Finally. Okay. Bedtime is 8, but Luca's been fighting it, so honestly just put on a show. The diapers are in." I said, "Dawn, check your Breckenridge app." The sentence stopped her mid-reach. She checked. I watched it cross her face, the way people look when a number they expected to find is not where they left it. Reservation, canceled, refund processed. My mother had found her phone by then. The same sequence crossed her face. The ski lodge, the lift tickets, gone, the spa day gone, the refund back to the visa I controlled. My mother said, "Claire," 1 word. The register she saves for school principals and grocery store disputes and me when I have said no for the first time. I walked past her into the living room. I sat down in the chair I had sat in for the first 18 years of my life. I put my hands in my lap. I said, "Mom, sit down." She did not sit down. I said, "Starting December 27th, 5 days from now, the utility autopay is ending. APS, Southwest Gas, Cox. After the 27th, the accounts will still be active, but no payment is scheduled. Someone will need to put their own card number in. The children will have heat and internet through December 26th. My father, Gary, appeared from the hallway in his baseball cap. He pointed at me. "What in the hell is this?" I said, "Dad, sit down." He did not sit down. I said, "The van is 91 days past due." I stopped making the payments in October. The repossession review window opens December 31st. Dawn said, "My kids need that van." I said, "Dawn, your kids need a parent who makes car payments." Then the doorbell rang. December 22nd, 2024. 12:41 p.m., 27 minutes after my suitcase had cleared the porch step. A woman in her early 40s in a dark blazer over jeans. A state-issued badge on a lanyard. Arizona Department of Child Safety. She said, "Good afternoon, I'm Carla Reyes, DCS Family Services. I have a home assessment visit scheduled for December 22nd, noon to 3 p.m., for a Patricia Osgood and a Dawn Marsh. Is this a good time? My mother said, there must be some mistake. We were told next week. Carla said, the scheduling was moved forward following updated documentation. Are both Ms. Osgood and Ms. Marsh available? Dawn said very quietly, the way you say something when you already know the answer. Claire, what did you do? I stepped into Carla's line of sight. I said, I'm Claire Osgood. I filed the original report in December. I'm the one who finances this household. I am not the caregiver. Carla's eyes made one sweep of the entry. The rolling luggage ready to leave. 4 children in ski gear in 74-degree Arizona air. 2 empty wine bottles on the kitchen counter from the night before. A space heater 6 inches from a paper grocery bag. She said, may I come in? My mother said, we were just leaving. Carla said, ma'am, if you leave during an active DCS home assessment, it is noted as non-cooperative and triggers an emergency escalation. Would you like to reconsider? My mother stepped back. Carla walked in. For the next 40 minutes, while Carla assessed the children's rooms, the pool gate, the cabinet of unlocked cleaning supplies, the 2 boys sharing a twin mattress, my mother, my father, and my sister cycled through the 4 stages of a family learning that consequence has arrived. Stage 1, denial. This is a misunderstanding. Claire is overreacting. We are excellent grandparents. Stage 2, negotiation. Claire, whatever you want, we'll pay back the money, we'll refinance the house, we'll work something out. Stage 3, accusation. Dawn said, you don't have children. You don't understand what it costs. Your life is easy. You have a Manhattan salary and a 1-bedroom apartment, and you have never once in your life had to sacrifice the way parents sacrifice. You are doing this because you are jealous and bitter, and you have always resented me for having a family. I had rehearsed my response to stage 3 at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday in October, lying on my apartment floor looking at the ceiling. I said, I'm not jealous of what you have. I am exhausted by what I've been asked to fund. There is a difference, and I want to be clear about something, not to you, to myself. The day I filed that DCS report was not the day I gave up on this family. It was the first day in 6 years that I acted like someone in this family was worth protecting. My mother said, Who are you protecting? I reached into my carry-on. I placed a folder on the coffee table, 12 pages, tabbed, printed on the flight out, every dollar, every transfer. Every auto pay, the van down payment, the co-signed mortgage gap payments, the utilities, the groceries, the emergency wires. 6 years, $204,600, itemized. My father picked it up. He flipped 3 pages, his jaw moved. He said, you can't remove yourself from the mortgage. That's not legal. I said, Dad, I filed a cosigner release petition in Maricopa County Superior Court on December 9th. The lender was served December 12th. The hearing is January 14th. The petition documents 6 instances of misrepresentation in the original cosigner inducement, including the refinancing promise that was made in 2020 and has not happened in 4 years. You may want to consult an attorney. He said you would do that. To your own parents. I said I already did, on December 9th. My mother said, after everything we did for you, we raised you, we kept a roof over your head. I let her finish. I let the sentence sit on the room for 2 full seconds. I said, Mom, I worked 2 jobs in high school, and you used my savings account for a Chevy Tahoe in 2009. I took out $68,000 in loans for law school while you were asking me to co-sign a credit card for property taxes. I paid those loans back in 4 years while I was simultaneously covering your mortgage gap payments and Dawn's van and your utilities and the ski trip you booked on my card to a mountain I have never visited. You told me I was the oldest like it was a job description. Today, I am choosing a different definition. Upstairs, one of the children laughed at something Carla had said. A bright, unpracticed sound, the laugh of a child who does not know that the adults 1 floor below are unwinding 6 years of constructed dependency on a coffee table. My mother's eyes went to the door. I said, Mrs. Fortino is coming at 3. The children will have an adult here. The pool gate was fixed in November. I paid the $85 handyman fee because I was not willing to wait to see if anyone else would. The accounts stay active through Christmas. I am not interested in punishing 4 children for choices they did not make. I picked up the folder. I returned it to my carry-on. I said, "Mom, Merry Christmas." I picked up my suitcase and walked out the front door at 1:34 p.m. The Arizona sun was loud and indifferent on the driveway. I called a rideshare from the front step. I got in when it arrived 7 minutes later. I checked into the Hampton Inn near Sky Harbor at 2:08 p.m. I ordered a turkey club and a sparkling water from room service. I sat on the bed and ate it while the afternoon sun came through the curtains at the blunt angle of a desert December, and I felt, for the first time in 6 years, exactly the right amount of weight in my chest. Not more, not less, just exactly what was mine. Carla Reyes' visit produced a 14-item safety checklist. Pool gate, already fixed. Space heater, too close to combustibles. Outlet covers in Luca's reach, missing. The file was open. A second home visit was scheduled. My mother called 4 times on December 27th when the utility auto-pay stopped. I did not answer. She put her own card number in. I know because Cox sent a confirmation email to the account address I had not yet removed myself from. January 2nd, 2025. Dawn's van was repossessed from my mother's driveway at 7:44 a.m. Tyler, the 10-year-old, was already outside in his pajamas. He reads the newspaper every morning, a habit he got from my father, the only clean inheritance in this particular story. He watched the flatbed lift the van from the driveway while the driver apologized to the air. Dawn texted me a photo of the empty driveway at 8:02 a.m. The text said, "Why?" I texted back, the account was 91 days past due. I stopped covering it in October. January 14th. The Maricopa County hearing. I appeared via video conference. The judge asked 3 questions. Did Ms. Osgood receive any written disclosure about the scope of the cosigner obligation before signing in 2020? No. Did the primary borrowers make all payments for the first 18 months as represented at signing? No. Has the primary borrower taken any steps to refinance independently in the 4 years since origination? No. Judge Quintero granted the release petition at 7:22 a.m. My name came off the mortgage at 8:04 a.m. I sat in the conference room for 4 minutes after the hearing. I had a 9 a.m. deposition. I made a cup of coffee. I went to the deposition. January 21st. The Arizona Department of Housing sent formal audit notices to my mother and to Dawn. All household income sources and regular financial contributors for the preceding 24 months, documentation required. My mother called me 4 times that day. I answered on the 5th call. She said, "Claire, this audit, if they find, this could affect everything." I said, "Mom, I know." She said, "Why did you do this?" I said, "Mom, I was listed as a regular financial contributor to your household in my own bank records for 6 years. I was not listed anywhere in your benefits applications. That is not my error. That is a documentation problem that existed before I filed anything. When I stopped paying, they were going to audit eventually." She said, "I don't understand you anymore." I said, "Mom, I think you understand me perfectly. I think that's the problem." She hung up, February 11th. The audit results. My mother's housing voucher was placed under a 60-day review. Dawn's SNAP benefits were reduced by $340 per month. Brendan's disability review was flagged for priority processing. February 19th. Dawn texted me a photo, no caption. A 2-bedroom unit in a complex 3 miles from my mother's house. Clean kitchen, small living room. The kids' drawings were already on the refrigerator. 2 hours later, a second text. "It's ours. First time anything has been just ours." Then after a pause, "I know why you did it." I hate that I know. I let the message sit for 2 days, then I sent back, "Good." 1 word, no punctuation, exactly enough. March 4th, a small envelope in my Murray Hill mailbox, no return address, my mother's loopy cursive. Inside, a check for $300, a piece of notepaper, "Claire." I don't know where to begin. I know $300 is nothing. I know you don't need it. Keep it or don't. I wanted you to know I know. Mom. I did not cash the check. I put it in the drawer of my nightstand alongside my passport, my bar admission certificate, and my grandmother's pearl earrings. The ones my mother had pressed into my hand in the parking lot the day I was sworn in, the day she had whispered, "We did something right." The drawer that holds the things I am not done deciding about yet. Today, May 2025. Tyler, the 10-year-old, texted me on my birthday in January. "Happy birthday, Aunt Claire. I hope New York is not too cold." He had typed it himself. Dawn told me he had asked her how to spell birthday. I sent him back a photograph of the snow in Central Park that morning, the kind that settles on the branches and turns everything temporary and white and honest. He sent back, "Wow." I sent back, "Yeah." It is May of 2025 now, 5 months since the door. I work most evenings at my kitchen table in Murray Hill, 7th floor. I make my own coffee in a French press I bought in January with the first paycheck I did not owe to anyone. Most nights I eat dinner before 9 p.m. This sounds like nothing. For 6 years, it was not possible. Here is what I want to say. The cruelest people in your family do not always sound cruel. Sometimes they sound grateful. Sometimes they sound certain. Sometimes they open a front door in a turquoise blouse and say you're the oldest in the flat, settled voice of someone who has never considered that a sentence can stop being true. If you are the oldest, if you are the responsible one, the one whose number gets called before the insurance hotline, before the bank, before a frank conversation about what it costs a person to be the family floor, listen. You were not born the floor. You were trained to lie flat and let everyone walk across you while they called it family and you called it love. Those are not the same thing. Build the folder, every transfer, every wire. Every auto pay you set at midnight because you could not bear the thought of someone in Arizona sitting in the dark. Not to punish them, because you deserve a record of what it cost you to love them the way you did. The folder is not a weapon. The folder is a mirror. It shows you the shape of something you have been pretending was sustainable. And when, on a December afternoon with your suitcase still on the front step, someone opens a door and informs you that your entire existence is a function of being born first, that is not a fact. That is a habit someone installed in you when you were too young to refuse the installation. Habits can be interrupted. I sent $204,600 to Scottsdale, Arizona over 6 years. For the record, on December 22nd, 2024, I spent $188 on a hotel near the airport and $34 on the ride to get there. That is the cheapest December I have had in 6 years. Mom, you told me I was the oldest like it was a job description. I resigned. And for the first time, nobody replaced me. Quiet women eventually speak, and when they do, the room goes still. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe and join our community for more true life stories. We'll see you in the next one.